Lives Matter. And we are broadcasting live. I'd like you to share this video. Share, share, share. Hashtag Black Trans Lives Matter. Hashtag TUV, the Unleashed Thursdays. Share this video. My name is Davin Clemons. I'm here with Gwen. We're going to introduce our guest shortly. But this, once again, this is the Unleashed Thursday live broadcasting from Memphis, Tennessee.
All right, folks, we got some of our guests coming in with us right now. And we are live in this thing. So David, you keep going while I'm working the backside of this board.
I would like to welcome everyone again to Unleashed Thursday, broadcasting live here from Memphis, Tennessee. We are streaming. You can go to TUV Magazine page and share the video. You can also go to our personal pages and share the video. But once again, this is the Unleashed Voice, Unleashed Thursday. Today's show is Black Trans Lives Matter. And this is our month right after Pride Weekend, Pride Month here in the United States. But we are here to discuss an issue within the Black community that's the big elephant in the room. And we're going to ask the hard questions. We're going to have the hard conversations. And we're going to just have a candid conversation about why trans lives matter, especially Black and brown trans lives here in these United States of America and abroad. So once again, my name is Davin Clemons. We got Gwen GQ Clemons. We're going to introduce our guests and we're going to start this great show. So share this video, hashtag share, share, share.
What's going on, social media land? It's Thursday, 7 o'clock, and y'all know what time it is. It's Unleashed, baby. So we're gonna pass this thing around to our distinguished guest today. So we got some heavy hitters in here with us today to drive some conversation. We want to get some action behind this show. We don't just want to have a show. We want to dispel some misconceptions. We want to educate our listeners about the world of the trans community, the LGBT community, and how we can do better and be better stewards with our sisters and brothers. So if you would, I'm gonna just call out the order and I'll be typing in y'all chat box. So Jevon, DeeDee Waters, my sister Danielle, my sister Jasmine. So we're gonna go Jevon, DeeDee, Danielle, Jasmine. So if you come on in, give your plug about your organizations, unmute yourselves, and then we're gonna get this thing going. If you see my head down, I'm listening, I'm just typing.
All right, thank you. And good evening to everyone. I appreciate you all coming to me and asking me to sit on this panel for Black Trans Lives Matter. My name is Jevon Martin.
Conversation.
I am
want to get some action behind this show. We don't just want to have a show. We
want
to dispel some.
Danielle, can you please good evening to everyone. I appreciate you all coming to me and asking me to sit on this panel for Black Trans Lives Matter. My name is Jevon Martin. I am the founder and executive director of Princess Jasmine in the Bronx, where we provide referrals for housing, LGBT community with Black Trans Lives Matter. My name is Jevon Martin. A lot of when someone's talking, you have to mute your mic.
Yeah, somebody got Facebook open on your end. You got to mute your Facebook, please. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Once again, I'm Jevon Martin, and thank you for inviting me. I'm the founder and executive director of Princess Janae Place here in the Bronx, New York. We provide referral housing services for the LGBT community with emphasis on the trans community. We also have referrals for legal, mental health, job training, and just recreational services. Whatever you need, you're part of the LGBTQ community, we can refer you for services. Thank you for having me.
Hello, everyone. I am Jasmine Tasaki from Memphis, Tennessee, founder and executive director of We Care Tennessee. I also am many things. I'm a project strategist, grant writer, Black trans woman, community liaison, mother. I'm a Black trans woman. That's what I am. We wear many hats. So to plug my organization is to simply say, check us out. The work speaks for itself. And I am so happy to be here. Just want to say how honored I am. This is my first time on the show. I have known Davin forever. And you know, our mamas are an extension of us. So Gwen, like, I love them so much, and just wanted to make sure that I say how honored I am to be on the only Black media company that's ran by our people. That needs to be lifted up. That's the plug I wanted to plug. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you, Jasmine. You there, Sister Danielle?
Sure. Yes, I am. My name is Danielle Dafoe, and I am the CEO and founder of the National Black Trans Liberation Movement. We are primarily a policy-based organization. We work on federal policies like the housing and urban development policy that was recently rescinded by President Trump, as well as the Health and Human Services policy. All of those policies have far-reaching implications for trans people. I'd like to thank Gwen and Davin for the invitation this evening. I'm also, in addition to being an educator, I'm also an MDiv candidate at Howard University School of Divinity. And once I complete that program, I'll be the first Black trans woman in the United States to get an MDiv. It seems like a small accomplishment, but it is a rather large accomplishment for our community. So I'm happy about that as well. So what we do is we work on policy, but we also do a lot of human resourcing and social services. So thank you. Thank you for the invite. And sorry about the technical difficulties.
You fine. You fine. You there, my sister DeeDee?
I am. So I'm the one with a lot of technical difficulties. My name is DeeDee Water. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. To echo Jasmine, I am a Black trans woman. I am an unapologetically Black trans woman. I serve as Madam Chair of the Board of Black Trans Women, Inc. I am in conversations with the National Trans March to see about doing some things to make some things available for some of the people who have had certain crimes committed against them, because I don't want to say their actions, they're still crimes. So I'm super excited to see how this goes. The panelists that are on here with me are just absolutely amazing. I think this is going to be really, really easy for me, because I'm just going to sit back, chill, and just, sip on this water I got over here. Amen. Thank you all so very much for having me, and I hope that this really, really goes forward. So for those of you that are watching, please share, please share, please share. Share on my behalf, because I can't go share right now. So share, people, share. Thank you.
So we can't,
Okay,
we can't take credit for this assembly. We have to give it to Renee Taylor. Renee Taylor is a trans correspondent for TUV Media. Renee been with us for a long time and very integral part of our organization and do nonprofit work. And her organization, Transcend Memphis, is under our umbrella, and we're trying to get her funds to get her lunch for gender non-conforming individuals that she's very passionate about. So Renee was the one that connected us to me, to DeeDee. I know Jevon, I know Jasmine, and to Danielle. So I tasked her with getting some individuals that could carry this conversation with us today. So she definitely, I have to give credit where credit is due.
Yes, I love Renee. Thank you so much, Renee. And Renee, thank you for reminding us about how we're supposed to affirm people's gender, honey. Thank you so very much. I appreciate it.
Oh, yes.
Shout out to Renee. She's one of the unsung heroes in this work for many years. Love from Renee Taylor.
Now, y'all know when we're talking about Renee, we got to switch it up for Renee. We're going to hit Renee with a they, a them, a she, a her, okay? Ain't that something?
Well,
I love Renee.
I'm old school, honey. I be thinking I'm doing something, saying that
Child. Jasmine, we both on the same page, but, hey, whatever works, honey, whatever works.
I always correct myself. Thank you for lifting it up.
Thank you.
Well, we'll just get the show started.
Do you have a rant today?
No, I don't want to waste time talking about our worst president ever in history. But we'll go ahead and get he won't get my energy today.
Okay.
We'll go ahead and get the show started. Let's just dive straight into this conversation. Let's talk about the reported 21 deaths of transgender, non-conforming humans here in these United States, and why isn't these names uplifted in media? What is the big elephant in the room amongst the deaths of these humans in these United States of America?
So
we could go in the same order as we started this first.
A chat from Jevon, and Jevon want to lift up all of the transgender murders that's happened this year, last year, year before last. Just a moment of silence right now, if we would. Yeah. Thank you, Jevon.
And Gwen, and can I ask one more thing? Because I think this is something, as a survivor of many violent attacks, something we often don't think about is we lift up those who we've lost, but those who survive are in even deeper chaos, and we're statistics, and we're more likely just like any other statistic. And I'm not gonna start on my rant, but us not lifting up the survivors and us not feeling lifted further does something in. So if we could just take a time to, I would prefer to make a joyful noise, but let's do another moment of silence for those.
Whatever you want to do.
Hallelujah.
Make it joyful noise.
Say, ain't he good? Ain't God good? I'm here. I'm still here. I was gonna say, yes, Lord.
You better bring that energy on in.
Look, baby, because God is good, and everything happens by Him. It's purposeful. It's intentional, right? And it's intentional that the people that have survived, there's responsibility there. There's weight there, even bigger than what we have even thought of. So I'll continue later. Thank you.
Well,
I gotta use my sister Danielle. When we talked the other day for an hour. And we talked about the importance. This is your question. The importance of the show. This show was intentionally tonight. It was intentional. This is what we're doing. And my sister said something. Oh, and she shook me when she said it. She said, we have to talk about this because the dead can't speak. I said, woo, I felt something. And so I felt it.
Yeah, look, Jasmine, you got some memes going on over there. I love you. You know what? I'm in agreement with you, sis. God is good. Yes, she is. Because God is ubiquitous, right? God is there. God is both he and she.
And also they. God was the first they.
Beyond the binary.
If people say they, yes.
Yeah, and so, but we do that so much. We do it so much, sis, that we forget that we're so indoctrinated with this ideology that God is he, that, when I went to seminary, they had to really catch me, and I'm trans. So I love this fact that, yes, God can be she. God is whatever God is to you in that moment, in any given moment. And so you're absolutely right. The dead cannot speak for themselves. One thing we want to be really mindful of about the victim blaming and shaming, oftentimes, in really addressing the question about why these names aren't lifted up, right, is because we get so enamored with blaming and shaming. The first questions are, first of all, we can't even get out of what the gender is in the media. So oftentimes there's this misunderstanding between the family and the actual person, this incongruency between the way the person lived their lives and the way the family saw them. And although they may have had an amicable relationship with one another, the fact remains is that the family will, in loving kindness, still refer to them, if they were a female transgender woman, they still will say he, and call them by a masculine name. And so that confusion exists. So it's very difficult. Those little nuances make it difficult for us to lift these names up continuously and properly identify. We're still stumbling on these very simple things, which is why we need a national voice, much like the NAACP, a national presence that can speak with one resounding voice that can say, this happened, we denounce this, this is why it's happening. A voice that speaks over borders, over state lines, you know. So simple things like that, things about arguing about how victims choose to be identified, and victim, again, I want to say victim blaming and shaming. Oh, were they engaging in sex work? Well, the reality is that a lot of our folks, particularly our sisters, are forced to the margins, and cannot get employment and will not get employment because discrimination still exists.
Right.
And people won't hire them. And so they engage in survival sex work. Whatever your opinion on it may be, the fact remains is that people have to survive. They have to eat and they have to survive. And so I'll let other people chime in on it. But those are some of my preliminary thoughts about why we can't get this off the ground in meaningful ways when it comes to the larger conversation about Black lives really mattering. Why we can't say trans lives matter too. It's not an addendum. It is Black lives matter. And in that Black lives, it's trans lives.
Right. Come on in, Jevon.
Yeah, so I agree. And so where the problem comes in at is that when we say Black Lives Matter, people that are not Black are feeling that we're excluding them. And we're not excluding them, and we're not saying that their life doesn't matter. What we're saying is that at this moment, we are the most marginalized group of people that are being murdered, sought after, and it's time to show up and say, hey, enough is enough, right? We're not saying that your life does not matter. We're saying that right now, we need you to come here with us and stand in solidarity with us to stop the killings, stop the murdering, stop all the negativity that is coming to the Black community. And I've watched so many videos, and I'm just like telling people that if you act from a place of love, then this can all be eliminated, right? Whatever it is that you do, make sure that this is something that you want to happen to you. So as you treat people every day, however you treat them, just think about it. Is this how you want them to treat you? And if it's not, then don't do it. Plain and simple.
DeeDee.
Yes, so I told y'all this is gonna be easy for me. All I gotta do is just chime in when I need to chime in. So what I want to say is that Danielle, you had both you and Jevon had great points. But I wanted to say this. So to any Black trans person, whether or not you're in the binary or out of the binary, if you have interest in being a part of the NAACP, one of the things that I'm going to try to see about doing is raising funds to see about helping us to be able to get involved in the NAACP. They do have things that are available for us within the NAACP. They claim that they're going to stand for us as Black trans people. And say that they have a sector for it. So I definitely think that the way that we're going to be effective with the NAACP is by claiming memberships. And so if you would like to, you can either find my information online or get with me however you can. I'm connected to just about each one of the people that's on here. So I definitely want to see about that. And I want to make sure that we give people memberships if that's something that's possible and if they want to.
Well, I definitely want to talk to you about that after this show.
I'm interested in membership in national organizations like the NAACP, but I'm also interested in it's time that we have our own stuff. It's time. Yeah. Because let me say, Jasmine, and I hear you, sis. Come on with it. Because what has now happened is our deaths have become big business. We got people making money off of our death. The Black flesh of trans people is worth more dead than alive.
Hey, Danielle, get it right.
Think about that.
They've been making money off of Black trans bodies and sick Black bodies for many years, but they're really profiting off of it right now.
Sickening. And come on, Doc. Come on with it, Doc. And you know what? The fetish, like you fetishize us, okay? Mm-hmm. You fetishize us. You'll sleep with us, okay? Mm-hmm. You'll pay for that, and then when we die, you'll do a GoFundMe, raise $200,000. We had a case where people, I'm not going to get into the particulars of it. They weren't even family members. They raised $200,000 after the young lady was kicked out or left the facility and couldn't get back into the facility. So she, in effect, made herself homeless. She somehow was homeless. She became homeless, couldn't get back into the facility. And because of that, she was at greater risk of violence being perpetrated against her. Well, weeks went by and her body was found dismembered in the Schuylkill River in Philadelphia. $200,000. Now, during her lifetime, she struggled with homelessness, transphobia, lack of employment, lack of health care. But when she died, $200,000 was raised in her name from that entity, and her mom raised $200,000. And guess who buried her? The state. Crime victims. So that's a perverse reality. It's a perverse reality. And we must organize on the national level to do something about these things. Enough is enough. And one of the reasons why we've had such a difficult time in mobilizing ourselves is because each locality seems to feel like, you know, they can't, they're not linked in with a federal entity. So we do need it. Jasmine, I felt like you wanted to say something.
Yeah. Come on, Jasmine.
Yeah. Ooh, the more I talk, the more I'm not worried about that 2 minutes. No, I'm just playing. But I think that even us limiting these questions is part of the problem, you know? And I'm not saying it for y'all, but I'm going to work back. So I want to I'll start by saying this. We must support Blackness in its totality, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's just us as Black people, right? So that means all of our children, all of our sisters and brothers, in the total way that they show up as human beings, right? That's our responsibility since we have been on boats, right? There's an inherent spiritual connection amongst Black people. We have internal power. There's a lot that we already have, right? But because white people have taken our internal power, fooled us like it was external and explicit, and everything has been rearranged, what I feel like this, and I don't know what to call it because to me it's manufactured. You know, Black people were marginalized for so long. I guess the white people say, shit, we can't get rid of the niggas. We're gonna get rid of the trans folks. So we're the spinoff show. What they could not keep doing to the biggest group, they took the smallest group, right? But the other part is this. I think that the names aren't being lifted up. One, because the information it changes so much. So for me, I try not to lift the names up myself. I always ask people to lift names up who we may not know, right? But also I think that how we purpose what we do as Black people everywhere we go is the reason why trans people can't be lifted up in the death. We're not lifted up on earth. Why? Who's got, you get what I'm saying? So what there's not going to be a light bulb. And sadly, and let me just stop. Danielle, I love you, baby. I don't know how we not sisters, but back on point. But like Danielle said, this is big business, right? But sis, let me tell you this. It's big business for this community. Oh, let me say it again. It's big business for this community. No different than professional athletics is modern day slavery, but it's the biggest business for the slaves who still stand on that podium and get sold. But it's even bigger business for the owners. And just like OJ was the first token nigga to receive an endorsement, is the first token nigga to be an owner. Because we got to remember, you cannot only study your family pathology, but you have to study your cultural pathology. And who we are as a culture is a complete erasure. So if we are ever fully sure, fully aware, and moving from a place that we know it all, then we are even more lost than they planned for us to be. They were working ahead way in advance. So what we have to do before we separate the identities, we have to remember who we are as Black people. We got to connect to land, spirit, family, and purpose. Everywhere Black people came from, there was a specific purpose. But we have been put in this world, in this, like, you know how you have an Instagram filter? Baby, we on Snapchat. You know how Snapchat do shit? You be like, oh, that's for the young people. Baby, we are in a Snapchat filter, but we're constantly looking for the original picture. We want to tap back into their royalty, but we're confused about where we are. And because we no longer, when we were first integrated, everybody wants to be Thurgood Marshall. Everybody knew these Black people. White people have made pop culture, and they've placed these people that they want us to look up to. So what happens is we're all just trying to get back to where we came from. But because we're confused, it makes it hard. So we have a responsibility as Black people to honor our cultural pathology, right? But then within the community of trans people, we have a responsibility to stop replicating these systems of oppression, stop like, and no tea, no shade to nobody. Baby, I don't mean no harm. Y'all go to NAACP if y'all want to. They are, that's just, y'all have never seen the NAACP. They don't do direct service. Now, as a person who was the first trans leader in 108 years of existence in the National Urban League, I can vouch for them. And I can, and I don't even know, they, hold up, let me not say too much, but I'll say this. I know that they are trying, right? But let's just keep it 100. Even the trans-led organizations are lying these days, picking people just to get the grants. Trans women are allowing to be enslaved. There are cisgender women that are Black. Fuck the cisgender white men. Cisgender Black women are taking these spaces that belong to us to better our community and further manipulating because of the hurt that they came from, right? And you know, not honoring them because we as Black women are the nurturers, the backbones of this community, right? But we have to stand, we want our own, but we have to take our own. As trans women, we are magical beings as well, right? But we've been through so much that in this space, in this time where we have so much responsibility, so much power, and so much potential, the imposter syndrome is an unspoken pandemic amongst trans people, right? We don't know what the hell. I'm about to get through, but wait a minute, we because this is important.
We want to democratize the conversation, Jasmine. We want to democratize the conversation. I appreciate it, I promise you, but we want to keep it fluid, and you're making some great points. And so we want to make sure that we give equal. That's why we didn't want to get a lot of people, so everybody could get, because I know you got a lot to say. Jevon, I know you have a lot to say. DeeDee got her hand up. So we got another, you have another question, or did you want to chime in on this, DeeDee?
Oh, no, that was from earlier. That was from whenever I had raised my hand the first time. And
Jasmine, we coming back to you. Write it down.
I'm not writing it down. I just want y'all to stick to the order because I had to hold out it after we went out of order.
Okay, we'll try.
Well, I do what I want to say about Jasmine's point. Trans people are gifted, glorious, unique being. I mean, we're historical being. I mean, we're there in the Bible. Doc, speak to it. We're there. The eunuch's there in the Bible. I mean, the modern day eunuch would be the trans Black woman, but we're there in the Bible. The Ethiopian eunuch is there. I mean, we are glorious beings and powerful beings too. So we certainly possess the ability to mobilize our own community, to advocate for ourselves, but we need our allies. And I think we also need some inter-bridge building, like between Black trans men and Black trans women. And we need to talk about that tonight too.
Okay, we'll table that.
So I think we as, and I have been on this for about the last year, we as Black people, we have a lot of repair that we need. When God created us, I'm gonna stay biblical and spiritual. I'm gonna let y'all take care of the rest. When God created us, God gave us authority, power, and dominion.
Mm-hmm.
He gave that to everybody. And we have given that away. We've let the white man strip it away. We let people in our own community strip it away. We let the cisgender people take advantage of us. We let the white people, the EDs, take advantage of us. Because when I see y'all, I see God's. Because in the book, it says God made man, and man's an inclusive word, in our image, after our own likeness. And so how can we, this is my next question, how can we hate our sisters and brothers who we see every day and love a God who we've never seen before? And that's a crying shame. And so I just want to talk about how can Black people, Black folk, have so much hate in their heart towards our trans sisters and brothers. Jevon, you start us off.
Okay, thank you for that, Doc. So I just want to say that I'm a firm believer of the fact that this Bible is being used to condemn people, period, you know, to keep people in order, right? And like I said before, if you act from a place of love, if you walk from a place of love, then that is of God, right? And if you do anything negative, that's not God-like, right? And that's just coming from me. That's just how I am. And Danielle mentioned the eunuchs, and when I read about the eunuchs were put in place. They were castrated, and they watched over the king's wife, and they were castrated to make sure that they didn't have sexual relations with the wife. So as far as eunuchs and that sense, I'm not here for that, right? So I'm a firm believer that transgender people are two-spirited, right? And we have been praised many, many years ago as kings and queens, many, many years ago, because of our two-spiritedness, because of who we are internally, right? And I am in belief of that. So talking about what you mentioned, Doc, I feel as though, you know, the Christian people, the people that believe in religion are being two-faced, right? Because how can you say love one another and then turn against someone? Point blank, period. You know, it doesn't matter if they're your family, if they're LGBT, whoever, you're supposed to love thy neighbor. It does not say unless they are, if they are not. It says love thy neighbor, right? Do not covet thy neighbor's wife. All of this stuff that, you know, Christians and all other religions do, but yet you just single out the LGBT and the trans community. That's an abomination. You're going to hell. But yet you still eat shrimp and all the other shellfish and all this other stuff. So you pick and choose what you want to take out of the Bible to condemn people, but not condemning yourself. And this has been going on for many, many years, Doc. And I'm just here to say that we need to unlearn this, right? We need to do away with it and lead from a place of love. And that's all it is, right? Just get rid of all the negativity, stop throwing your children away because they're not living the life that you planned your children to live. We're not here for it. You should be fined for throwing away your children and letting the government raise your kids and the street raise your kids. Raise your child, feed them, clothe them. So what that they're not following the rules that you thought that they would follow? You know, just love your child. Just keep them sheltered and safe from all the negativity that's out there. And who cares who they love? The whole main thing is that they are being loved and receiving love and being safe while doing it.
Well, the question was, I'm gonna type it in. The question I was asking is, how can we love God? And it's not a question regarding like church. This is a question like the reported Black men who are murdering our trans sisters. How can they love God but hate the trans sisters and brothers who they see every day walking down the streets or in the streets, in the stores? And that was my question. We all say we love God. None of us have never seen God, but we literally hate people. And we say we hate people, But how can we do that? And that was a question I just wanted to know and get your thoughts on it. How can these individuals who kill our sisters and brothers love God but hate a creature that God created?
I think I'm next in the lineup, and I want to make a point to say to Jasmine that I love you, and that I affirm you, and I am so grateful unto God that you are here in this conversation. Your or is important here, and I don't, yeah. Nobody should ever feel less than, especially a beautiful, wonderful, divine, godly, beautiful woman like you. I want to just make that point. I want to answer the question. I think that Black folk particularly, and I'm happy to report that this is changing, because you got Jeremiah Wright and Otis Marsh III and Willie Francois III and Howard John Wesley and these great cis hetero Black theologians who are standing in the pulpit saying, enough is enough. Enough is enough. And the reason why this continues to happen is because Black folks and COVID-19 is really teaching a lot of us some stuff.
Amen.
Teaching a lot of us some stuff, because it's teaching us to stop playing church. We can really see some real doctrine, some real theology, and check our theology. Because they told us about slaves, obey your master, but they didn't tell us about the part where it says, if a slave runs away, give him sanctuary and do not return him back. You see, so they messed up when they let a Black trans woman go to seminary. They messed up, but they also I will say HUSD loves me. I love those folks there at Howard University. Dumb highfalutin Black folks with all those reverend doctors from Yale and Princeton. I love them, and they.
I tried to go to Howard. I couldn't get in.
Are you serious?
But go ahead, just keep going. We'll talk about it later.
You coming later? You gonna get an honorary or something? So, but the point is, Black folks are people of tradition. And it's erroneous tradition that's been hurtful and harmful to us, no matter how silly and simple it has been. They use the Bible, they weaponize the Bible against us to enslave us, and then we turned around and beat our own selves with it. So, but now this is the generation where people are saying enough is enough. That's why a Black man can walk down the street and be sexually attracted to a trans woman and want to have sex with her in the secrecy of the bedroom, but in the sanctity of the church house won't stand with her and say, I do, I will, I'll love you, I'll honor you, I'll respect you. That's why. And so we got to cut this foolishness out now, and we got to tell the truth. We got to tell the truth that the Bible is a library. It's not a book, it's a library. And some books were left out of that library. What happened to Mary Magdalene's account? It's a lot of things. So we'll get to all that, but that's my or in that one.
All right. Who's next, Jasmine or DeeDee?
Jasmine.
Listen, this part of the problem, trans, when we go through too much stuff. I done walked around my whole house, and I know Wi-Fi is in this whole house. But forgive me, I just can't get a good signal, y'all. I'm sorry. But yeah, so I think that, I'm very spiritual, and I'm also very churchy. So I have an implicit bias against a lot of things. When people say, like when you say, how can they love God and they haven't seen him? I like how you rephrase that. When you say, how when they claim they love God, but also I think it's more so there's two pieces. We do see God every day, everywhere we look. It's just like stress is for the body. Stress is actually a dress rehearsal for an emergency. Your ability to navigate through stress will determine how you will act or react in something that's truly catastrophic. Same thing with I'm sorry, I'm getting lost with how people see God, right? So I think that's it's a very broad question, because you still got to do what people don't do to us. They don't love God, but not because they don't see God, but because they don't love themselves. The reflection that they see when they look at trans women is everything that they never knew that they could do. That could be one, but also it's just the blueprint of how we treated as Black women, right? And then for a man, a Black man who's never been given room to do anything but be strong, physical, and do manual labor, and to be silent, like trans women, we just got the shitty end of the stick, right? And I don't think it has anything to do with people, but more so, you know, cultural history, and more importantly, like Danielle said, just people who go to church and they look at the Bible as a book, and it is a library, but it's a library of that transcends all of our understandings, right? And our greatest hope is to try to tap into that same energy. So that's how I think people don't love trans people, because they just won't tap into the energy. The same way they love those men that beat them up, the parents that left them, the sister. It's just when they're willing to tap into the energy, right? So I don't think it's a thing of God. I think it's more so a thing of their spirits and their own lack of sometimes validation and sometimes love for themselves.
I like that. DeeDee? You need me to repeat the question, DeeDee, or you got it?
So if you feel like repeating it, that's fine. I think I have it, but it's solely up to you. You just tell me. I'm here.
So I'll repeat it for you. It was just basically how can I'm gonna jump on Black men, cis Black men. How can they love God and hate trans brothers and sisters that they see every day of the week?
Okay, so how can I say this in the best of ways? So when we pose a question on how can we give an answer or provide an answer for how someone feels who is murdering us, it becomes hard because we're not the ones that's murdering us, if that makes any sense. And so one of the problems that I have is that a lot of, well, not a problem. One of the concerns, let me say it that way. One of the concerns that I have is that a lot of times people think that there's one answer that we can get from everything that's going on, and it's not. I look at life as a toolbox, and I got tools inside of that toolbox, baby, for everything. Even though my nails too long for me to do manual labor, honey, there's a tool for that. And instead of a tool, there may be a person who knows how to utilize that tool for that. What I'm saying is that it becomes oh so complicated and convoluted whenever we think that there's one way for something to be able to happen, especially in a situation like this when we don't necessarily really have our hand even in the deck. We don't even make that decision on how that's going to take place. So I think that it's a little complicated for me. I think that when it comes down to that, I think that it's really, really hard for me to provide an answer on that. But I definitely think that as speaking to how they would feel or why they would do that. I also would speak from a place of from understanding for me, right? So a place from understanding for me is that I understand that I, as a Black trans woman who was born and raised in Houston, Texas, and down here in the South and you know, Southern Baptist, it was certain things that we were taught that we could and couldn't do. That we couldn't do. So far and so on.
Like what?
Just as far as living, right? So one thing that I will say is this. So when we looked at the Black man in church, especially the Black pastor, right? When we would look at the Black pastor, we looked at that pastor almost as the same way as we looked at God. And and for me, my upbringing was to see it that same way, but to also give pushback, because that's what my grandmother used to tell me to do. So to give pushback. And so there's an understanding that has to happen. And I feel like where we come in this is that there's a lot of hurt that we as Black people don't even know how to heal from. And we have to start working on that, because a lot of times within these situations, I believe that there's a lot of hurt that's going on. And I cannot put the blame on myself or any trans person who may have been murdered because of certain situations. But I say that when we look at the Black community and we talk about love, we have to talk about hurt. And we have to talk about healing. And that's something that we have to start working on in order for us to start trying to get somewhere. And it doesn't mean that that's going to answer all the questions, because I don't think so at all. But I think that if we don't start talking about trauma and like what that really means, and affirming certain things that we feel that we're going through, and not covering it up in a way of saying, you know, well, did you take it to God? And not saying that God is not able, not saying that at all. But affirming whenever, just like what Jasmine saying, that, you know, sometimes we hardly ever call out the names of the survivors, and that is very true. You know, but why don't we? You know, is that what we were conditioned to do? Because when we look at it from a Black standpoint, we don't want to show no weakness.
Well, I think that's yes. We've been conditioned. Yes, tradition.
Can I add to what DeeDee, because actually DeeDee is a reading. So let me, something else I think, we align love with strength, right? And we align love with conditions. But
what type of conditions?
Oh, well, you know, that varies among the people, right? But I think that another reason people can't love trans women, because a lot of times we can't completely love ourselves. And I just want to mention something happened with DeeDee at a national conference. Was it UPath? Is that what it's called, DeeDee? Where we got the white, well, y'all got the white folks in their place. Anyway, make a long story short, DeeDee was somewhere, like 3 Black people in the room. I think we were in DC. I don't know where we were, but it was a national conference, and we came because one of the keynotes was another Black trans woman. So me and Tony Michelle went, and Tony Michelle she's a radical, unapologetically Black leader, right? DeeDee normally is, but DeeDee was kind of in a place where she didn't know how to react because she was cornered. But I was the house nigga that day. Like, after they put everybody in place, I came out, we don't mean no harm. We just want, because I wasn't completely sure of who I was as a Black woman in this space full of white people. And we definitely aren't sure of who we are in a space full of Black people. So I think that, you know, as just speaking from a vulnerable place, trans women can't always love ourselves. So how can other people, they can't model love for us, because the whole thought of us in America, in the Black community, has been based on invisible, being invisible, being forgotten, and not loving yourself. So I think it's just like something that has happened across the board as well.
I think you all gave like some awesome answers, and I was kind of looking to tie it all in, because we went a little bit. The question came from a biblical perspective, and we just kind of dove down through our own experience and things that we've learned from our introduction to advocacy and the work that we do in our lived experience. But you know, there's a really empirical evidence to talk about post-traumatic stress from slavery, and how it has caused the Black community to just really disintegrate, for lack of a better word, because, you know, we operate under the pillars of white supremacy, right? So these are subtle things that we don't see every day, but they're there. They've been systematically put in place to cause what we are all experiencing right now. So when we start talking about the Black community not liking the LGBTQ community, then they insert God in there, and then you go and then you have your own community turn around and kill you, and then we have all these layers that we're trying to get through. And you said the right thing, DeeDee. It's trauma, it's traumatic, and it all ties in from a systematic oppression under the white supremacy pillars, where they introduced religion to us and gave us this God, you know, this mystical God. They stole everything, then turned around and rewrote the narrative and introduced what masculinity is, and took away this and what women are, and gave us a social construct. All of this thing plays into how we go out and how we see the world when we get out in it. And then, in addition, you know, to what you said, finding all of trying to find yourself through all this traumatic experience. And a lot of times people don't really come into themselves until they probably hit like 40.
Can I, I'm so sorry. Do you mind if I say something?
Yes,
so I want to say this. So really, really pay attention to where it is that I'm coming from when I'm speaking from a place of trauma, right? So really be mindful, right? There's gonna be so many Black people that's out there right now that feels like they're okay. Do you hear me? They're gonna feel like everything is okay. But I want you to watch trauma. Watch this. I don't know nothing about half of these damn people, but I want you to watch this. If you have a phone, if you have access to the internet, if you are connected to social media in any type of a way, if you have access to the news on television or even through the radio, you can see people that look like you and me being murdered right in front of your face. Does that make sense? People that resemble things that you love and other people that you love. And if we don't sit here and understand that there's traumatic things that are being taken place right there in front of us, that we're not even acknowledging, right? And see, we're seeing it all, but we're not acknowledging the trauma. So I believe that we need to start making sure that we're prepared to start having those conversations. Because if we can all sit here and say that we're fine, then there's some type of a problem because we're not acknowledging that trauma that we've all experienced from watching this stuff happen right in front of our faces.
So what I want to add to that also, DeeDee, great point, is that for those of us that are in advocacy, right, we have a privilege because we have access to information. We have access to all of the things that you just talked about, unless you end up going to counseling and then do a lot of self-discovery on your own. But most people don't take the time to do that. So that brings me to my next question. Like the language that we use, and you use binary and non-binary earlier. A general person in our community won't even know. As a matter of fact, Jevon can attest to this. People in our own community don't know what that is. They don't understand even the difference between gender expression, sexual preference, sexual identity. They don't even understand that. And then you would think that when you come into this space that you're safe, and you're not, because they don't know. We assume people in our community did not even know what cisgender woman meant. So we just, this is kind of like the platform and then the advantage or the privilege that we have to be able to share what we know to the community through conversation and break it down to people and then pull them and guide them in. We didn't have an order this time, Jasmine. I'll call it out. And then guide them to the light. Because I didn't get to where I am with the level of understanding that I have right now before I came into advocacy. It's like I got it. The light came on. Even though I was working, and I've been gay since I was 16, honey. Since he was 3 weeks old, I came out. But what I'm saying is, I didn't know. I had no idea. I was in the community. I was out. I was among everybody. The trans community, it wasn't even called trans in my days. It was just what it was. We didn't have a name, a formal name. But this is where it get real powerful for us.
It was who?
We were titty girls back then. If you had titties.
They would either call you a drag queen, a transvestite, or something like that. That was the name that the heterosexual community would call the trans women. My sister was a trans woman. I shared Danielle her picture. But what I'm saying to everybody is that this is where we get we have to put that on our shoulders. And when use that platform, use it to educate the people. We got a lot of people watching us tonight. And to be able to make sure that the information that we're sharing with them, that we give some form of education. For instance, they might not even understand what it means when we say Jevon is a trans man. A lot of people don't understand that in our own community. Jevon had to do a show last night because of a group that we're in were being really, really offensive to the trans community. So he had to turn around and do a show to help them. And that's why we wanted to do this show, because we wanted to use you all in your position to teach people that's listening what it means, what your struggle is, what they can do better. If they not ready, what they can come and get some more information, because we're not going anywhere. You understand? I put myself in there. We're not going anywhere. You have sister, brothers, cousins, mamas, aunt, daddies everybody has somebody in their family that's from the LGBTQIA LMNOP community. We here, and we've been here, like y'all said earlier. We've been here, and we are not going anywhere. We are an integral part to the world. And you are right, Jevon. They know our spirit. They know our magic. If you ever talk to Dr. Daniel Black, he would tell you that we were gatekeepers in the African village. And the Africans deferred to us because God talked to us. That's how they got the message. We were the ones that God talked to come back to tell them what to do. But these Europeans knew that when they invaded that island over there, that continent, they knew that. They knew it was magic in us. So in our community, this is why we want you. I can't talk for the trans community. You all have to. You all have to talk to even the LGBTQ. I'm gonna need a T out. You have to talk to us so that we can do better by you all and by our sisters and brothers tonight. So that's why I want to have this show. I want to talk. I want you all to let it out. Get it out. We may not even be asking the right question. And if we aren't, type it in the chat box or come on with it and let us know what we need to put out here tonight. So we'll go with Danielle, DeeDee, Jasmine, Jevon.
Yeah, then I think it's Dr. Daniel Black. That's a powerful brother.
Mm-hmm.
He and she has something called the Pink Robe Chronicles. I cannot call her name right now. Who is that has the Pink Robe Chronicles?
I'll Google it real quick for you.
Yeah. And but I want to go back to something Jevon said. If you get tripped up on, don't get tripped up on definitions, jargon, not understanding. Let your starting point be humanity. Let the thing that binds all of us be humanity. Let the thing that joins us together is when you see all of us, any person, I don't care your race, your color, your gender, when you saw that man put his knee on another man's neck for 8 minutes and that man called for his mama and he urinated on himself. Humanity within me, the divine within me screamed, said it ain't right. So we all must start there. Do not let language trip you up. If you don't know, ask, Google. If you don't know, Google, we okay. We okay. We know you're not trying to be offensive. It's okay. So we need to start there. That's the first place. Humanity, our humanity is the thing that binds us. The fact that we are together and nobody wants, listen, there's a moral imperative. Thou shalt not kill. Mm-hmm. No matter what religion you subscribe to. If you don't subscribe to any religion, whatever, in our society, there is a moral imperative. Thou shalt not kill. If you're out here killing, you got to go. You got to go. Let that be the first thing that binds us. Let that be the bind. So I wanted to say that, and I lost my train of thought because I got so amped about that. There are theologians out here. And your initial question, Gwen, was about, bring me back just really quickly.
I said it's important for us, for you all, to use this moment. We got a lot of people watching.
I also want to talk about, this is our moment. And this is towards Jevon and Jasmine and DeeDee. This is our moment. These allies are with us. We will never get this accomplished by ourselves. Black folks will never get the Black Lives Matter movement accomplished by themselves. What we see now is Gen Xers and Gen Zers pouring into the streets. They're white, they're Native American, they're gay, they're straight, they're Asian. You see people with Mexicans for Black Lives Matter t-shirts. We cannot do this by ourselves. So this is our moment. And we as a community, a trans community, must realize this is our time. We must step into the position. Jasmine, you are the Maya Angelou of this movement. You are. Jevon, you are Malcolm of this movement. DeeDee, you are the Morrison of our movement. This is our time to mobilize. We can't wait. We can't continue to wait. That's foolery. And we're not going to, because it's in us. Not only do we have that which was within our ancestors who were slaves, who were rebels, that is in us, but we have within us those people who were at Stonewall and threw those rocks. We have it in us, and we can do this. We can do this. So to our allies, we need you. We want you. You are not offending us if you ask questions, especially if it's a question born out of love, born out of humanity, and understanding that we are all human and we all are suffering some kind of trauma when we see people getting killed in the streets. And let me tell you one last thing. It is traumatic to be trans. It is traumatic to be trans. It is traumatic to be trans. I have been very fortunate in my life. I have to understand, I have privilege. I have 2 degrees, but I have privilege because somebody let me go and get therapy. I have a privilege. And so I have to use my privilege to help other trans people. So I have to honor Jasmine. I have to honor Jevon. I have to honor DeeDee. These are elders in our community. The average life expectancy of a Black trans woman, does anybody know? 35 years old. I'm 42. In my community, I'm an elder. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. Jevon, remember that. You are Malcolm. Jasmine, you are Maya. And DeeDee, you are Morrison.
Hey, somebody just sent me a question. The next person, maybe you can answer
Dr. Melva. It's Dr. Melva Simpson. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hold on to the question. Take the question, Dave. We'll put it in chat box. We're going to go with DeeDee, Jasmine, and Jevon.
It's too long. I said when they finish.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So thank you for that. I really appreciated that. So could you repeat the question, please? Because I had got a little caught up.
I know. I am really enjoying the conversation. So it was just same thing that my sister Danielle said, that this is you all's moment. And that we may not be asking the right questions tonight. So we're giving you the opportunity to put out there what it is that you think that's important that the audience need to hear so we can better educate them about the issues, the pros and cons, whatever it is that we need to do to better educate our community about the trans lives and our topic today, Trans Lives Matter.
Oh, wow. So I think that there's such a complicated question. And I think that, there definitely should be an answer. I just don't know if I can give the right answer, right?
Okay.
I think that when we talk about these types of questions, I think about the ways that we can show up. I think that you were talking about earlier how some people not knowing what cis was and non-binary. So again, I'm all Southern girl, honey, and we didn't know nothing when we was brought up, honey. We didn't know nothing about non-binary and none of that kind of stuff. We wasn't talking about that, and so, but we still have to acknowledge that. You get what I'm saying? So it's I think that there has to be this cautiousness of hey, everybody doesn't really get this all the time, and that's okay too. But see, it's a problem whenever you take it to the next level, if that makes any sense. So it's for me, I don't necessarily understand the non-binary, right? But for me, I have to respect the non-binary because you was gonna respect me in my binary. And that was important to me. So therefore, it's on one end, whenever I hear someone tell me, oh, well, I just didn't know, as their response on why they did it, instead of just saying, hey, I did it, that was wrong, they're a part of the problem, if that makes any sense to me. And so that's just to me. And I don't think that it's necessarily wrong for them to feel that way. But I just think that if you're trying to understand something, you have to understand and acknowledge whenever you messed up. And I am a person who likes things to be as simple as possible. My nails too long for super complicated things. So I like simple things, and I feel like it's just simple to affirm people and meet them where they are. And if people can't do that, then they're a part of the problem.
Okay. So is Jasmine, you ready?
Yeah, I've been taking mental notes. But the question actually is, what do we feel that may not have been lifted thus far on this call that should be lifted to raise awareness or educate allies or the community and allies? Both.
The floor is yours.
Now, I'm going to go back to that. I want to encourage everybody to read the book on post-traumatic slavery disorder. I love that you brought that up. And I love where my good sister, and I'm Maya Angelou, baby, and you are Blue Cantrell of the movement. Miss Blue Cantrell, no. But I love that she brought up how traumatic it is to be a trans person, because as a trans woman, hell, we've been in a pandemic. HIV, violence, sexual assault, addiction to drugs and sex workers. We're going through a pandemic every day. But I think we as advocates and community organizers, and I want to make sure we make a distinction between the two, right? I feel that educating the community is the weight of community organizers. The weight of an advocate is to bring the community along for the journey, right? But the advocate is only meant to uplift the voices of the community, but not necessarily educate. And I think that's why a lot of people get mad at, or like they take it out on us if we can't explicitly define something. Well, they take it out on advocates, right? And I think that advocates are very special, even more so than us who do this formal part of the work, right? Because a lot of us started from advocacy. And for trans women, our advocacy is just the peephole into real organizing and work for our community, because advocacy is what we have only been given for these last 4 or 5 years. We done took when the police do a raid, we done took that thing that they bulldozed the door down, right? But it's like now we have to, as trans women, I'm going from the trans women to now Black people, we gotta honor what a lot of people call white folks shit, therapy, you know what I'm saying? Because post-traumatic slave disorder, not only read the book, but the term in itself. If people would lift that up and move from that lens, then they would love trans people, because everybody being killed, like we're facing that every day, right? But I think that specifically for what it is the allies need to know and the community needs to know is trans women, especially Black trans women, trust our leadership, get out of our way.
I like that.
That's 2 things. Stop playing like you want us there when you can't take us. Most importantly,
what do you mean by that?
Well, it's a lot of like it's a lot of organizations. Like it's plenty of people say, "Oh, we're centering trans women," and then you get there and it's like, I don't really feel that. It feels just like it is when we go places. I transition.
Tokenism.
Yeah, or not even tokenism, baby. They don't even. You remember how back in the 90s when we went out and here, we'd be glad as we just was able to walk in and nobody knew us and knew who we were. Like, I feel like that in some spaces as a Black trans woman. So trusting our leadership and moving out the way is an important piece to getting things to a better place. I also want to lift up, so Gwen, Davin,
you broke up, baby.
but we have to honor ageism. We have to honor ageism and genderism within our own community. So, like when you said there's a better choice for people, no, there's a different choice. When we say your life can go, you know what I'm saying? Like those things, I think that's where we are traumatizing ourselves. Those of us who are from the older generation,
we mean well, and we've gotten to this space, right? And we say people have to be ready, but our responsibility as elders is to be even more humble and constantly learn, because our babies have no, and I don't mean just like our Black babies don't have what we had, the history that we had, the schooling that we had. Now they have is Lil Wayne. Like, it's all these people that they look up to, and we have to be, since they got Obama at the White House, they're not letting another nigga be the janitor in there. So we have a responsibility to be the best representation of ourselves whenever we're out in the world for the sake of our babies, right? So all of that is bigger than just like, what do the allies need to know? What we need to know is, like she said, focus on being humankind, but most importantly, focus on humility. Humility is the key to greatness. I don't care what door you're trying to open.
Come on, brother.
Jevon.
Did we lose Jevon?
Nah, you can't lose me. I'm just sitting
Come
there.
on, New York. Come on, New York.
Because I'm there. Woo! When I'm around my sisters, y'all always get me going, and I just take it all in, and I'm just so appreciative to be here with y'all at this moment. And y'all know that I'm just like, woo! You know how we do, right? So I thank you, Gwen, for bringing that up earlier about, you know, the LGBTQ community doesn't even know about trans men, right? And the lesbian community, about the group that I'm a part of, that I was put in to, you know, assist and educate and just be there to share. So educating our community, right? That's where I feel there's a problem, right? You're a part of the LGBT community, but yet you don't know about each component of the LGBT community, right? And for me to constantly have to do Trans 101, it's really becoming, you know, like, come on, this is 2020. Right?
Well, hold up, Jevon. Jevon, let me take up for him. How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I just turned 50.
Okay, so I'm 40. So when I was younger, I wasn't involved in the community and the advocacy part, because they had centers, and I wanted to party. I didn't give a damn about going to know nothing. I wasn't going to no educational sessions. I didn't want to go do any of that. So I think to take up for the people, I hear what you, I'm with you, but to take up for them, I just want to live my 20s and have fun. I don't really care about that stuff right now. And so that's I'm gonna take up for them right there. But I'm with you 90% with you what you're saying. Keep going. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, but see, that's a part of where it all comes in at. You're a part of the community, but you do not know the history of the community that you became a part of, and you just want to party, right?
Yeah.
How do you know that this is what you want to do when you didn't read up on it? You don't know the history behind it. That's how it gets whitewashed, right? That's how it's based from the whole LGBTQ whole movement, because you don't know about it, right?
Right.
We know Stonewall was a riot, and people are over here partying, and oh, it's a parade, the Pride Parade. It's not a damn parade, it's a march, because we are still marching for our rights, because they still do not accept us. They still don't see us. They don't want to see us, and they want to eliminate us, right? Because we are furthering the agenda, and stop throwing it down their faces and stop forcing it in front of them. And I'm over here like, wait a minute, what? We're all humans, right? And why is it that what I do with myself bother you? Why is it that who this person sleep with is bothering you, right? You're not paying our bills. You're not doing anything for us. So just what they say, if it don't apply, let it fly, right? Mind your business, right? It costs nothing to mind your business, right? And I'm just at the point where education right now, this is 2020, Google it, right? Because I have been doing this for so many years, and then when I tell people, you know, I'm a consultant, and if I have to teach you Trans 101, there's a fee for this, right? And they're like, oh, Jevon, why is there a fee? Because I've been doing this, in the hospitals and going to different colleges and businesses and doing this for so many years. Why should I continue to do this for free? But then you can go and get someone else to do it, and they're gonna give you their whole different way of doing it. And I'm not saying that it's wrong. I'm not saying my way is right. But what I am saying that sometimes experience is a teacher. Also, experience can be toxic, right?
I agree.
Depending on where it's coming from and how it's being presented, right? So I just want people to learn, educate themselves. Don't go into something blind. Yeah, you want to party, I want to party too. But learn about how you are able to party. How are you able to go to this club and not have to be abused, right? Learn the people that have come before you to give you the right to walk down the street and vogue and hold your partner's hand. Learn.
I agree.
That's it.
Hey, Jevon, look in the chat box. I sent the question. One of our viewers wants you guys to answer. Guys is an inclusive term, ladies. Want y'all to answer the question in the chat box.
Hold on, time out, y'all. This needs to be added. Something that I forgot. One of the biggest problems is this: Black trans women we are going through a major issue that Black women have been going through, but it's magnified. Black women, inclusive of trans and cis, need to be allowed to be normal, mad, hurt, upset. Let me explain. I've been thinking about this all day. I always have been a person. I've always worn makeup, this, and y'all know I'm very glamorous. But like, we need to be showing up like this here for the people. You know what I'm saying? I'm not talking about the straight people. I'm talking about our own community. We gotta make room for this to be something accessible. We don't need to make these positions far-fetched. I agree with you, Jevon. You should definitely be getting paid. Not saying you didn't, brother. You know, I love you. I just got to say this. But it's our responsibility to make leaders. There's no reason there should be one or two people able to do this. It's because when we get these positions, we shouldn't be searching for that one place that we finally found love or validation and acting like a spoiled child, cutting it off for other people to do it. Because it's not going to be a movement. People got to die. I don't know if y'all ever heard of Whitney M. Young. Google him. Used to be the right-hand man of Martin Luther King. Was known as America's first sellout, but it's largely responsible for affirmative action, right? So we have to let people show up as their full selves, allow evolution, and then we have to, guess what we don't understand, sometimes we don't have to. I don't have to understand everything to respect it, to receive it, and to accept it, right? So trans people need to be given the space to not have to fit into this mold that people feel is acceptable. That privilege is why I purposely am. I don't code switch like I used to, and I can do it very well. I am very polished, but it does not help the ladies that come work for me and other organizations who they don't have that, and they don't need somebody as a mentor that does that knows that is not healthy. The same way when white people come in and say, "What's good, my peeps?" It's not healthy for a Black person to have to come in the room and disguise who we are. It's not healthy for the ones that have to come after us. It worked for our predecessors. But we're in different times. Sorry, y'all, I had to say that.
You fine. Danielle, did you have something?
I want to, before we move on to answering this question, I want to tie in both what Jasmine said and what Jevon said. We do need to be supporting one another intentionally. I mean, as a Black trans woman, I have a responsibility to support Black cis men, Black cis hetero men, Black trans men, gay or hetero, otherwise, whatever their sexual preference is, I have a responsibility to support them. That's first and foremost. And building on what Jevon said, it's very detrimental to engage in a community and just want to party and not know that history, because we're living in an age where we got big pharmaceutical will push PrEP, and not educate folks, okay? They push PrEP and got a lot of our young Black brothers HIV positive because they pushed PrEP and didn't educate. And I'm gonna leave that with you. So be very careful about this notion, I just want to party, and engage in something because it feels good sexually or emotionally. We must be morally conscious in this era, in this time. We owe it to our ancestors. We owe it to ourselves. It's called self-care and self-love.
Well, I said that because, when I was coming up, I wasn't culturally competent like I am now. I don't think the access to some of the things now were available back when I graduated high school in '98. And if they were not exposed to me. So exposure goes a long way. So we had to start exposing our younger kids, like Jasmine said earlier, to these different entities that we have. And we have to be intentional, and we have to go into those places where they go party and say, hey, look, we have these resources over here. So y'all come over here once y'all finish partying and learn about Stonewall, learn about the pros and the cons of PrEP, learn about so on and so on. So we have to get out there and get our hands dirty with the people. And I think many of us get in these positions and we forget that we have to keep our hands dirty at all times and get out here in the trenches with the people and be with the people. Because if you're not with the people, why in the hell you got a nonprofit organization? Because it's for the people. It ain't for you. It's for the people. And so
Come now.
Like Jevon, about that dual spirit. Y'all know they talked about the dual spirit in the Bible. In the very beginning of the Bible, in Genesis, it says when God created man in chapter 5, and it's an inclusive word. It said he made him in the likeness of God. He created the male and the female and blessed them. And when they were created, God called them man. So we all got this dual spirit. And some people dual spirit come out more than others. Because sometimes I like to run around the house with my stilettos on in my hair sometimes. Y'all just don't know it.
Honey. Yes.
Anyway, answer the question. Come on, somebody answer this question in the chat
box. Are they red bottoms?
They are.
All right, yes, honey.
You know what? That was so powerful what you said. That was just, that was powerful. And I also want to say, since '98, you a party person. When you're in 12th grade, you partied through your early teens to the late. You always say you was the finest thing at Central.
We went to school together. We went to high school together.
I want to stay on that, Doc, right? Because it's really important, right? Because right now, we have the meth pandemic going on, and the meth is killing a lot of Black men.
It killed my best friend last year, Jevon.
Yes, and this is what I'm talking about, because we still partying, right? And we're still having a good time, right? So we need to stay here and talk about this. That's self. We are doing this to ourselves, right? We know it's no good, but we're doing this because it makes us feel good, and we can have sex longer, and we can party longer, and this is where we are. Right? But we know it's no good. We know it's doing us harm, but we're still doing it, right? And the ballroom scene has had so many meth panels. They've had so many gatherings to talk about this. They've also had so many gatherings talking about PrEP and PEP. We've also had so many panels to talk about HIV and AIDS. I have spent my life going from club to club to club for many years, handing out condoms and lube. Meanwhile, they right there on the wall, right? But I said, listen, I'm gonna volunteer. I'm gonna do this. I spent my life watching so many Black people die. I was a candy striper back in the days, in the 80s at St. Vincent, which is no longer here. And I went and I sat and I talked to gay men that were dying of AIDS, right? The information is there, but people are too busy partying. They're too busy doing other things that they want to do. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? But we still have to know what is happening with our bodies, what is happening in our communities, and how can we do better. So I'm not telling you to stop partying. I'm not telling you to stop doing whatever it is you're doing. I'm just telling you to stop for a second and and read and Google and see how they are keeping us down, right? They want us to be incarcerated because that's where the money is, right? They want us to just end our own lives, right? Because we got all this drug dealing going on, and this person, you on my block, and this my hood and that. So we about to fight. We are eliminating ourselves. We are abusing our own. So we have to touch this toxic, whatever we have in ourselves, and we need to address that. We need to talk about toxic masculinity, right? Unpack that and where it came from, and we need to just reverse that and come from a place of love. And this is what I've been saying. The trans women are being murdered by Black men, but yet you expect them to stand in solidarity and fight and stand up for George Floyd and all these other people, but they're Black men, but the same Black men that are killing them. So we need to address this and get rid of this toxic masculinity and tell the men that are dating trans women that it's okay for you to love a trans woman. It is fine. And their friends and their family members do not sue them for loving someone that deserves to be loved. That's it. Plain and simple. Stop your shit.
Yeah.
But you know, one of the, hold on one second, Jess. One of the tricks that they used on us was like right now in this pandemic, right now that we got going on with the coronavirus, the first thing they opened up in a lot of these major cities were what? Businesses that serve predominantly African-American communities, because it had got out that we were the ones disproportionately dying from the coronavirus. So that's why they said, we don't have to worry about a mask because it's not affecting the Caucasian community. We were making up to what, 80% of the deaths in some localities. So the first thing they did was open up the beauty shop, the barber shops, and the nail shops, and the tattoo parlors, places that we like to frequent, to watch us go out and gravitate to the things that we love because we've been conditioned.
But they never closed the liquor store. The liquor store been open and never shut down. Come on now. Why is that?
You're right. Come on, Jasmine.
I think, well, y'all know because I'm double-sided on all of that because of a lot of the work I do. What I will say is, oh shit, y'all talking so much good stuff. So I want to go to the point that Jevon had. I just want to say, the same way it ain't no grannies and me moms no more. It ain't no Black elders in the LGBTQIA community because it's too many people in our community that have lived past that expectancy age, and I'm got time for them clubs no more. And it's just sad because we don't think about, forget the gay community. Think about when all of us grew up. I know I had a family, you couldn't ask what a word was. You had to do a book report. Go in and go to them encyclopedias. Like little stuff like that. We have to take the reins. Like, it's not just making it available, but it's about mothering and nurturing these kids. And I'm talking about 32 on back. Now I want to skip to toxic femininity and toxic sexual activity. And the last one, I thought of it on my own. And if it does this, great. If not, I'll define it in the next sentence. Toxic femininity and toxic sexual activity has just as much as toxic masculinity has impacted transgender murders. Toxic femininity and toxic sexual activity has as well. Not because of the things we do that are in our sexual activity or how feminine we are, but the expectations that have been placed on us because of our outer appearance, because of our transition, because of toxic femininity that's been placed on Black women for years. So yes, I do think that toxic masculinity has played a big part, but I think trans women in this day and age, and I lived it, and it's even worse now. Baby, young ladies, Black, cisgender, transgender young ladies, we are more than our wigs. We are more than our hair. We are more than our titties, booty, hips, how short. Baby, we have something inside this special. And I think that not enough trans women have been given that. The same way that people on here affirm me, and how Jevon said, when we get together, I had to shed a tear because you know what? I had forgotten that, Jevon. I I had forgotten that. And I'm in this every day, right? So I think that we gotta go back to us earlier. We gotta tap into their spirit, their love, their family. Like, it's more that we can do to educate and raise awareness in these communities. Half of the old people that don't go to the club sleeping with the babies that be at the club. And paying them. So if you paying them, at least pay to educate and get some sex. You got to do better, elders. Got to do better.
Oh my goodness. I am enjoying this conversation, y'all. And y'all know we have been rolling for an hour and a half. You folks know y'all can do some talking, don't you? So what we're gonna do, we're gonna give our partings and give you all the opportunity to take a couple of minutes to talk about your respective work again. And if you got a point, DeeDee, I mean Danielle, DeeDee, Jasmine, Jevon, and
well, I wanted to address
questions up and they liking and
one question, and I think it's
come on.
I think it's fair to address the question.
Oh, it was
that was posed.
about the generation.
The question was, does the transgender community see a difference in generations when it pertains to acceptance? Is it geographic where it's more accepted? And so I gave some consideration to that. Yeah, I think, you know what, I know I personally am encouraged by younger transgender people who are just like them. These young babies are like, look, I am who I am. If you don't like it, oh well. And my generation, we were low key like we were brutal with it. Like, you had to pass. If you won't cunt, you got chopped and all that nonsense foolishness. These girls are like, you're gonna accept who I am. And if you don't like who I am, you're still going to respect me. So I would say to that question, yes, there is a difference in generation, but I think the older generation is wise enough to understand and appreciate that the younger generation is really living in their truth. And they are honest and honorable enough to respect us enough to say, y'all had a part in and letting us do this and letting us be this way. So I appreciate that sort of, equal relationship. And it is geographical. Like, you in New York, and this is what my agency is really going to be working on. We want to see broad, no matter what state you live in, whether you're in Tennessee or Mississippi, that your documentation is not an issue. That, because the folks in New York, they got it going on.
What do you mean documentation for the people watching?
So like, say there's a girl, she's a trans girl, she's just coming out, she wants to get a job at Marshall's, but in Mississippi, the requirement is really, you have to have SRS, you have to have had a $20,000 surgery in order to change that gender marker on your ID. Now, you can look like a female. You can look like a female all day. She could look like a female, but as soon as she goes in there, she's going to be ineffectively outed on that job. And that's going to be problematic for her from day one. So we don't want that to happen. What we want is across the board, people to be able to be economically sufficient, where they can get a job, support themselves, get an education. We have those protections in education, but we don't have them across the board in the realm of employment. And so that's what we mean by documentation. You got a lot of protections in New York, but you don't have them in the South. And we need them across the board.
Right.
DeeDee? DeeDee?
I mean, like, to be totally honest with you, I think that everybody hit a lot of really good points. I don't like, to be honest with you, like, there's this part of me that's where I'm at. Like, I don't want to say that I'm at capacity. I'm just at this place to where a lot of things it's just me trying to gain a better understanding in the things of which I do in leadership, right? And so, as a Black trans woman, I get this issue that whenever I'm speaking or doing something, that I have to be concerned about the people that I'm uplifting. because sometimes the people that I'm uplifting are people that will still murder me, but they also are people that look like me, you know? And so it's like, it hurts because like we have these conversations and they're great conversations, but then it's like at the end of the day, a lot of times I have to step back and just have one focus, which is the victim, which is the survivors. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like a lot of this is always like giving me this uncertainty within hope. You know, we sit here and we talk about what can we do to make the Black community love us or change the way that we're received by the Black community. And like, how can that even become a conversation with people that don't even want to have it, right? And it should be fair for them to not want to have it, just like from some conversations, we don't want to have it. It's also fair for us to not want to have to continue to do all of this work that we're having to do and training people on how to just simply respect us. Like, what the fuck? Excuse my language. It's just like, this is like, it's exhausting. It's overwhelming. It's degrading. Like, it's just so many things that this is simply because like all we want to do is merely exist. And so it's like, I can definitely appreciate these conversations whenever they're had. So I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that like, you know, a lot of times when we're having these conversations, it's like, what do they lead to next? What happens next? What's supposed to be next? And so it's like, I think that we've all said some great and amazing things, but what happens tomorrow? Like, what happens tomorrow? Like, no offense, like, I'm gonna wake up tomorrow still a Black trans woman. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna wake up having to know that as I go anywhere, when I do anything, like that is still who I am, like period, point blank. And it's sad to know that, you know, many of my Black counterparts are looking and in fear of the police, and I'm more in fear of the Black man. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is an issue, you know, and it's a problem because for a cis woman to think that it's okay for me as a Black trans woman to be murdered simply because of whatever they may think that it is, that is ridiculous, because the same thing that's murdering me is murdering you, honey. You know? So,
Hello.
like, I mean, I think that there's so many great things that have been said, and it's like, I appreciate everything. It's just that sometimes whenever it comes down to like these conversations, like I really just get like in this place, and I just start looking and thinking about things. I start thinking about the survivors. I start thinking about, you know, what does that really mean to be a survivor? You know, I think about like the people who were murdered. Like, what is that like? Like, I mean, I still have room to breathe. You know what I'm saying? So it's so many things, and I think that this is great conversations. I think that we definitely need to try to figure out what is next and what does next look like for all of us.
Good point, duly noted. So we're gonna wrap up. We're gonna pass the mic around for another 1 minute apiece, 2 minutes. Give your organization name, how people can get in contact with you, your last thoughts, and that'll be it. Let's do it. The mic is going around the room. Tasaki?
I'm sorry, I thought my screen looked. So let me say this. I'm here, and many people know me and my mama, we back together, you know, God bring you full circle, we best friends. And my mama, she said I was sounding like I was hollering, and I told her, I said, y'all pastors holler, and y'all hee-hoo, ha-ha. But the reality of it is, I have hollered on this call, I have cried, and I have laughed. What I did is I have released and gave you all a peephole into what it's like for us every day, right? This shit is traumatic. Not just being a trans woman. That's already traumatic. Just imagine, I've been shot 7 different times, raped 12 times. That's right there traumatic. But to relive that every day, but also to know that there's people being murdered every day and we're acting like this shit is okay. And I'm just saying, just in general, like nobody should be wondering why nobody's upset in this time. Like for me, it hits home with all the murders because I have within the last couple of months, somebody has tried to follow me and shoot me. I don't even share with people. Like this goes on, and I work along with the police every day, right? And I'm more in fear of the unknown. It's not just the Black man, but it's the police. But I think that collectively, we all need to get upset. We all need to get ghetto. We all need to get loud because at first, like riots and those things start action. You know, like we got to stop looking at everything on the surface, and let's get back to the core. Let's reintroduce ourselves to ourselves. And for some, let's meet ourselves for the first time. But let's do it along the sides of people who are just like us, not because of how they feel on the outside or up here, but because who they are on the skin and who we are as a community, as a culture. Let's tap into more than just do me a favor, people. I'm going to be quiet, but go on YouTube and Google how were slaves brought to America. You will be amazed to know Africa was the last place. It was the most prevalent, but it's what they allowed us to know, right? They said, we got to give the niggas something. But whatever it is that you want to know about yourself, stay on that journey, right? And love yourself. Because if you love yourself, you can love trans women.
I love it.
We care Tennessee. We care Tennessee. Love y'all.
Danielle?
I'd like to take last. Can I take last?
Okay, sure.
DeeDee?
Jevon?
Oh.
Jevon? And then we'll come back to DeeDee and Danielle close us on out.
Okay, Jevon Martin, PrincessJanaePlays.org. For me personally, JevonMartin.com. For those of you that don't know me, I am on Facebook, Instagram, Stone Cold Legend. Princess Janae Places on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, as well as myself. And I just want to say to everyone that just lead from a place of love, right? And I feel that we'll all be better. Treat those how you want to be treated, right? And respect is due to a dog. So if we can respect our animals, let's respect people, okay? And just a note that we need to have more of these panels, but not just for the LGBT community. We need to have it for the cis community, right? And I understand that we're starting here amongst ourselves, but this needs to be broader, larger. We have trans women like Ashley Marie Preston that is best friends with Elizabeth Warren, right? So the two of them can go on a live social media and have a talk about why Black trans lives matter, because more cis people follow Senator Warren than they follow us, right? So we need to utilize these platforms where we have our friends that are senators and governors and sit with them and talk. This is how it comes out. This is how we change community. This is how we make it better for us all and stop the killings and the murder and the the abuse of us on a whole. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I agree.
Love you.
DeeDee?
All right. Okay. So thank you so much again for having me. Like, I really, really appreciate being able to take up space and being provided the space. So again, my name is DeeDee Waters. It's Waters with 2 T's. Maxine is our third cousin, honey. We the other side. We got 2 T's in it. So don't be lazy. Add the extra T. So it's Waters with 2 T's. You can find me on all social media platforms at I'm DeeDee Waters. So that's on everything. Also, you can find my website at DeeDeeWaters.com. We're doing some maintenance on it, but it'll be done very, very soon. One of the things that I wanted to leave everyone with is, you know, so for some of us, we believe in God, right? And so since we believe in God, I know where that comes from for me and how that feels like for me, right? And so what I want to encourage those of us that may have strayed away or may just need to hear this, like, not trying to convert anyone to anywhere, because baby, look, I'm selfish, honey. I'm stingy and I'm selfish, honey. So I ain't trying to share God, but I know my God is good and able. But let me tell you this. So I want you to be mindful that God is still speaking, and really, really make that relate to you in whatever way that that's supposed to, right? And so if we step away from the God part and we go to the universe, I really, really want you to be mindful. Really, really be mindful that even within believing in the universe, that at some point that there was a seed of which was planted. and that water was provided to that seed. And as that seed started to grow, as it started to develop, that was the branches that started to go out, and then that was the leaves that started to spread, and then that was the oxygen that was provided for you. So I'm simple. I'm an old simple bitch. Excuse my language. But how about, you know what? Just the mere fact of knowing that those things took place for us to be able to exist and breathe, just for little us, but simply little me. That shows us exactly how important we are, how worthy we are. And I just want to make sure that we all know that we are worthy, no matter where we are right now. You are worthy. You are worthy if you're feeling down and depressed. You're worthy to be down and depressed. It's okay. We have to acknowledge certain things and try to work our ways through it. And I can't tell you how to do that because that's your own individual journey. But I want to let you know that if you believe in God, that God cared so much that God stopped time to breathe the breath of life into you. And if you believe in the universe thought highly of you, honey, highly of you. And we have to be able to acknowledge that from wherever it comes from. So again, I appreciate you all for giving me this space. I love the people who are on this call. I'm so glad to see you all. And I just really want us to be reminded just of those few things. So if I can get you to take anything with you, take that with you.
Ashe.
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 And it is so. And it is so. I want to thank Gwen and Dr. Clemons. Thank you very much for this space. I want to honor Jevon, Jasmine, and DeeDee Waters with the 2 T's. Don't you cheat her on that second T, honey. Don't you cheat her on that second T. I already sent you a friend request.
Yes.
I already sent you a friend request. And I'll find you too, Jasmine. I will definitely be finding you too.
I'm gonna find you first. I got too many pages.
It's Danielle Dafoe, Dufoe. So I want to say that I'm reminded that, when Martin Luther King and Malcolm and all of those, when the civil rights struggles, civil rights began, right? Their job still isn't finished. So I'm encouraged today. I am encouraged today. This is just the beginning. I might not make it to the mountaintop, just to reuse an old saying, but I'm encouraged because each of us are playing an instrumental role. So I'm not discouraged by any means. These conversations lead to somewhere, some sort of understanding of one another's position, some compassion for one another, and some education of each other's life and what matters to each of us. So I'm encouraged today and I'm thankful. My cup runneth over with gratitude. Thank you. My organization is the National Black Trans Liberation Movement. We do policy work on the federal level in Washington, D.C. And we'll be working for policy as it pertains to HUD. So when you see a Black trans woman get kicked out of a shelter because she's Black and she's trans, and they say she's not a woman, so she can't go in that shelter, I want you to call me because I'm going to find her. And I'm gonna make sure she gets shelter, but I'm also gonna make sure they get sued because they getting federal HUD money. So that's what we do. And that's what we're going to continue to do. And I'm encouraged that we're going to continue to work together. We're going to mobilize and we're going to keep on keeping on. I love y'all all. And I truly mean it.
Love all of y'all on this call. I'm sorry. I love all of y'all. Love. Powerful people. Danielle, you're the only person I don't know, but I do want to lift up, because I didn't say that. All of us on this call are special. And just the love that y'all have given is amazing. This has been really great. DeeDee, you normally talk the most and the best. You still were the best.
Well, love you back. As we wrap up, I'll go and I'll let Gwen close the show. I want our listeners to follow us on the Unleashed Voice magazine page on Instagram and on Facebook. You can follow myself on Instagram and on Facebook, and Gwen as well on Instagram and Facebook. But we are in a revolutionary war right now, you all. And we, as the LGBTQ plus community and allies and all Black people, because I'm for liberation of all Black people, we have to discover who we are. And the goal is to stop the spilling of blood and build life. And until we discover who we are, we will continue to go in a circle and come around this 180. In the words of our great brother Malcolm X, who taught you to hate yourself? Somebody taught us. So let's unlearn that. Let's build life, discover who we are, and we shall get to the mountaintop. I believe that with all of my heart. My name is Davin Clemons, and I'll pass the mic to Gwen.
Hallelujah.
So I thank you all for taking time out of your day today to join us to have this important conversation. You could have been doing a lot of things this past dinner time for me, and with your families. It's late in the evening. Some of you work today. Well, I'm at home. I'm on quarantine still. So I just want to say thank you, especially you, Jevon. I appreciate your work you're doing up there in New York, and I'm looking forward to coming to that center, Teresa Thacker, LGBTQ center that y'all working on. We're here. Y'all need us. Make sure you reach out. I'm extending it, the door to you right now. Use us. Use our platform to help promote that. And as soon as this pandemic over, I will be getting my ticket because I want to be there I hope I make it when the ribbon cutting taking place. And DeeDee, sister, I thank you so much. Even though you had technical difficulty, you still got on and rock with us tonight. And so we get to see your beautiful picture and your long nails. I want to touch them. I can't show mine. The pandemic killed mine. And Jasmine, and I just thank you so much for coming home and and getting on right on time. Thank you so much, because I know you wear about 7 hats like me, and I appreciate your voice and your passion. And I publicly say that I did not mean to hurt your feelings. You know I love you, and and I know you're sensitive, and I am too. So you know.
But I won, and I want to publicly say you didn't do anything necessarily wrong. Everybody was, we long went. All of us on this call, good sisters and brothers, and this is something that I already knew was going to. That's why I said, baby, let's not even play about the. But no, and yes, I'm very sensitive. But no,
I am too. So
your name Crybaby.
I am very sensitive, and so when you said it, I was like, oh my God, because I
know you mean no.
Definitely not my intentions, and I don't want to send that energy out to you all tonight, because there's definitely not where it's coming from a place. So no ill intention behind it. And Danielle, look, I gotta call you tomorrow because we just talked up like an hour on the phone and just chit chat. And I thank you today for coming in and educating us. I'm a student of life. I'm a student of learning. And I have learned so much from you all tonight. And I hope that our listeners got some valuable information and some takeaways. So anytime that you all feel that you need to get some conversations going again, give us head up, we'll schedule it and we'll do it again. Because I think we're at a pivotal time right now. This world, it's not just the United States, it's a movement taking place. It's an awakening taking place in our society right now. Even though we've been activated, ordinary, everyday people have been activated and they have been ignited, to take part and to be part of this change. And the millenniums are going to get us over, Danielle. We're going to see it. We're going to see it come to pass because, like you said, we have the power. We've always had the power. We just didn't know how to activate it. And now what frightened people that's been in position of control and always control the narrative is that, we woke these people up. Because no longer can you fool us and no longer can you run amok over us. Just like we mobilized and did a blackout the other day and didn't buy nothing because I didn't spend a dime. It comes together and it's going to be from coast to coast and around the world. It's going to be some change. It's going to take place because guess what? It's more people than there are people in political positions. So we got to mobilize on that front too to get this white guard that's been controlling what happens in our society, passing these discrimination laws, these white men. It's time for them to go. And when we want to see change and when we get tired, it's going to happen. It's gonna happen. And you know what? We had Renee on here, but Renee, she deferred to you all because it said trans lives matter, and she said she didn't want to get on and speak from that narrative. And she said, well, no, keep that show. And then I wanted to make sure that we had enough time for you all to get your points off. So, and we would definitely revisit again. If you get it together, Jevon, we'll do it. How about that? Okay, I appreciate it. So, any last parting words?
We've run over. We did 2 hours with you all.
I love y'all. I appreciate you so much. Danielle, you can go. We're gonna let Danielle pray us on up out of here.
Holly, now y'all talking. Come on, Reverend. Come on, Holly.
Come on, drop it in my spirit, sister.
Come on, Bishop.
Woo! You gotta talk
Bishop,
for the people
oh, you
now.
did that.
Just
on,
you don't have
Bishop.
to be long. Just
Bishop Doctor.
don't even have to be formal. Cause if you don't do it, DeeDee gonna do it. I feel it in her shandong.
Woo! Go ahead, DeeDee. You want it? Go ahead, DeeDee. Go ahead, DeeDee. You go ahead, knock it out. Come on.
Y'all just did not know.
Come on, DeeDee.
When I heard that, Lord.
I feel it in your
Evangelist
shandong,
Water.
DeeDee.
I feel it in your chandora.
Come on, Evangelist Waters.
Oh, for those of you that can hear my voice, no matter where you are, no matter how you are, no matter the things that are going on, right? I want you to create an atmosphere that is only for you. And I want you to just breathe as you hear my voice. Whether or not you can take deep breaths or short, fast ones, just breathe, however is good for you. Calling out on the name of the Father, the Son, the holiest of all of the holiest, the mother, the mother of whom holds me tight whenever I need that motherly love, the Father of whom makes me feel that I'm protected whenever there's protection of which is needed, that best friend of God, who I can lay on your shoulder at the times of which your shoulder is needed, and as I lean back, I can feel the palm of your hand dug deep into the depths of my shoulders.
Come now. Yeah.
God, I ask that you remind us of the strength of which we have, and I ask that you remind us of how worthy we are. I ask that you remind us that every time we look in the mirror, that we are seeing a reflection of you to the universe.
Hallelujah.
To the universe, I say thank you, and I give homage to you for the fact of the bark that went on the tree as the branches grew. And as those leaves were developed just simply for me, so that I can have this simple thing called oxygen and be able to breathe in a life where the most complicated thing sometimes to do is to simply breathe and merely exist. I thank you for knowing that I was coming and doing certain things that could prepare it for me. You see, I think that when we get ready to talk about prayer, we have to understand that it's a mere conversation. So this conversation is just to get deep. So to the Most High, I ask that you do whatever your will is, and that it shall be done. I ask that you give me the opportunity to even gain some type of understanding to the things that I just may not understand. And I ask that you allow me to do the simplest thing, which is to continue to breathe and to merely exist. To the folk that are on this call, that sit on this panel, I ask that you just anoint us, each of us, from the crown of our heads to the sole of our feet. Wax our elbows, Lord. Rub elbows with us to remind us that we exist and that we are worthy, and that we as leaders, sometimes it's okay for us to get down, and sometimes it's okay to even feel like we're going to give up, because that's okay, because we feel too. Remind us that we are greater than anything that is put before us because we got the strength of you. Thank you for being so thoughtful and so mindful of me, of little old me. You see, I knew that I was getting off track. So at the same token, so Father God, Mother God, best friend God, sister God,
Hallelujah.
sibling God, God that can identify as they and everything, because you said I am the beginning.
I am that I am. Hallelujah.
So I just want to pour into each and every person that hears my voice, just like we pour into a cup of water. Yeah. Just as we drink from that cup of water and replenish ourselves and quench our thirst.
Yes.
We are worthy because you said that we were worthy. And that is just as simple as that. So thank you for allowing us to be worthy. Thank you for giving us the strength that we need and the understanding whenever some people just simply wouldn't understand.
Hallelujah.
So I come to you as we gather and we have agreed. Some of us will say amen. Some of us will say ashe. And some of us will just sit there in awe because you are so amazing. In the name of Jesus, I pray this prayer.
And
Some say amen. Some say ashe.
yes.
And so it is. Thank you.
And it
Thank
is
you all so much.
And it is so.
Love y'all.
And it is so. Girl, you put the stank on that one, girl.
Oh, girl, I done went. I had to mute the phone. I had to get out the house. I'm crying. I had to let the garage up, the neighborhood, and pray, baby. You said it in the Shonda.
And yes, you did, Gwen. You said it was in her Shonda. It was in her Shonda.
Yeah, I knew it was in there. I know it was in there. You know,
Yeah.
it's a spirit, recognized spirit. So I felt
Yes.
all warm today. You know.
Thank you. Thank you all so much.
God bless you. I love y'all.
Positive
I love
energy.
y'all.
Yeah.
Take care.
Y'all gonna survive and
I love
Amen.
y'all.
and thrive and
Hello.
listen.
Thrive and thrive.
And we
And
will
hello.
have
Take
this show
care of
up
yourself.
on YouTube. We're gonna send you all clips, perhaps probably 2-3 minutes. Try to get your best talking points so you can share it. And it'll be out on our podcast. We don't make any money. So it's out there on our podcast, on our YouTube page, and on our social media page. So we thank you all again.
Bless you. Bless
Facebook,
you.
appreciate y'all for hanging with us.
Bless
Unleash,
you.
baby.
Love
Welcome to
y'all.
the-
Everybody practice some
Love y'all
self-care in
too.
these times.
Everyone,
Self-care.
please stay safe, everyone.
All right.
All right, now have a good night.
Good night.
Woo-wee.
Look, Gigi, I done lost my lunch. You told you I only ate once. Now I want the salad. I don't know what I done did with it. Go on and get your food. I'm gonna start calling you. Who should we call you, Dr. Dre? Because this whole studio setup. In a minute, you're gonna be producing albums. It's gonna be the Unleashed voice. It's gonna be an album under the Unleashed voice. But no, look, y'all, this was so good.
I know what it is. Thank you.
This was so good tonight. Very good. Very. Okay, love you. Go eat.
I am.
Okay.
Woo! Thanks for hanging with us.